books. I got books. So the topic today is, drumroll please, what you feed your mind. There's a quote out there that says, I don't remember the guy who said it. You guys can look it up on the Googles. Quote goes like this: the unfed mind devours itself. Something like that. What does that mean to me? It means if you're not feeding this with something other than this, it's going to devour itself like Pac-Man. So why is that important? Well, the mind is actually a pretty tricky thing. There's a lot of research that has been done on this. For me, I know my brain never turns off. I'm always thinking about scenarios and different things, and I feel like there's no on and off switch. I wish I could turn it off. Meditation has helped, but still I have this ongoing thing up here, these conversations. And I'd say probably about 4 years ago, when I graduated from university, I started to read books. And this is actually pretty amazing for me because I was probably the last person to want to read a book. I actually wanted to just like not read and wanted to get like the Cliff Notes version and like look on people's papers and cheat. So I wasn't a reader. And I got into books like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, Og Mandino's The Richest Man in Babylon. Several books. One that I showed you guys here, this is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Fantastic read, actually. Highly recommended. All of those, but this one is just, yeah. And that became a way for me to expand upon what I currently know, what I currently knew at that time to be true, because whether you know it or not, everything that the knowledge that we have has been programmed into our mind like a computer, right? Like your computer that you're watching this now, it has programs on it. When you buy it, I guess now some of the programs come on it, but let's say when you buy a computer, it comes blank, right? When we're born into the world, we have a blank slate. Something's called a tabula rasa, blank slate. And as we grow up, we get these programs put into us, specifically between the ages of 1 and 7. We download all these programs into our mind. And these programs, or at least we think these programs, defined who we are. We think that these programs are the only way to live out our lives, to live out our existence. We think that there's only one path. And the best analogy I can give for this is the Matrix, right? I heard another great quote. Can you tell I love quotes? It goes like this: The Matrix wasn't a movie, it was a documentary. So I'll let you, marinate on that, if you will. But it's important to understand, one, that everything that we have here has been taken in from the outside. It's been downloaded into our hard drive, which is our mind, right? Computer analogy. And therefore, if you just stop and think about that everything around you has been everything that's in here has been downloaded essentially from what's going on around you, then you'll understand the importance of feeding your mind with different material. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing I'm reading. I just wholeheartedly, and I guess let me say this again. Everything that I ever tell you guys is just an alternative, right? I don't, this isn't, I'm not giving you life advice. I'm just showing you that there's an alternative because I don't see people talking about these things. And if they are, there's not enough, right? So this is an alternative. So if we go back to the kind of we've been programmed thing, we've been downloading all these programs and putting them to our hard drive. It's important that we understand these programs and what they mean, and that they are not a representation of our identity, our own identity, and also to understand that a lot of the frustrations and pain and things that we hold on to are due to these constructs and these programs. So it's important to read books to where you can flourish and your mind can be fed. Because if you don't think big, right, then you probably have a pre-programmed scenario that happened in your life where somebody probably told you you'll never be a doctor, or you'll never be a millionaire if that's your thing, or you'll never be a professional athlete. And then when you go and you read books like The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, you start to reprogram the bad programming. So that's my message for you today. One, understand that everything that you have here is basically a program. You were born in the world with a blank slate, and everything that you've acquired has been downloaded from the things around you. Maybe your parents, your spouse, your siblings, the situations that you faced. Maybe you grew up in an abusive environment, right? So those programmings can stay with you throughout your life if you don't understand how to tweak them. And they can almost become viruses and spread. And you know what happens when a virus spreads, right? It cripples the whole system. So that's the message for you today. Realize that everything, again, was programmed onto your hard drive. It was downloaded. And two, feed your mind with things that will help you understand how to reprogram these things for the ones that don't serve you. Obviously, for the ones that are good, keeping you happy, great. But for the ones that don't, it's probably time to start feeding your mind with some books on reprogramming the bad programs.